Florida Congressman and House Armed Services Committee member, former Green Beret Commander Michael Waltz. Congressman, it's good to have you this morning. Thank you so much for being here. So what was accomplished, in your view, from this high-stakes meeting?
Well, first, Maria, I don't think they should have rewarded Putin with the meeting at all. I mean, let's just run through recent Russian behavior. We had the largest hack in American history, the SolarWinds hack, estimated to cost the government and companies over $100 billion to deal with that, followed by the attacks on Colonial Pipeline, the attack on our food supply. We have the completion of Nord Stream, which is going to isolate Ukraine and Poland and create dependencies in Western Europe, amassing thousands of troops on the Ukrainian border, holding multiple Americans hostage with illegal detentions in Moscow, and then finally rolling out a new series of nuclear armaments with the rapid modernization program in Moscow. Meanwhile, by the way, the Biden administration is looking to cut our military. And with all of that, he gets rewarded. Biden rewards Putin with the global stage to further his propaganda. It shouldn't have happened at all. But what was accomplished? It was kind of a nothing burger. I mean, it really was, Maria, a big shoulder shrug. And what we did not do was reestablish credible deterrence. I would have liked to have seen Biden authorize the flicking of the lights in the Kremlin, so to speak. You establish deterrence by demonstrating your will and your capability and communicating it very effectively. Putin understands strength, and right now he smells weakness in the White House.
Well, it's pretty incredible. I mean, the Russians must be saying, oh, you still want to have this summit? We just hacked you twice. Oh, OK, you just doubled our opportunity for business into Europe with the Nord Stream 2 pipeline. Oh, you still want to have the summit? OK, well, let me just say that we're going to sell all U.S. assets from our sovereign wealth fund. Oh, you still want to have the summit? I mean, it is extraordinary, and by the way, giving Putin this massive platform.
Maria,
go ahead.
He hands Putin a list of 16 industries and sectors to pretty please, mother may I not attack anymore. I'd hate to be the 17th or 18th company or sector that was on that list that I guess just didn't make the cut. How about, we are going to impose very real cost on you, Putin, on your ability to maintain power, on your infrastructure, if you continue to allow this to happen. And that's how you establish deterrence. But, I think we went backwards in that regard.
I mean, you just mentioned such an important point that he basically gives away the secrets, gives Putin a list of 16 areas where he doesn't want him to hack, as if Putin's going to say, oh, OK, well, that's really important to America. We better make sure we don't hack any of that. Let's not touch their nuclear facilities. Let's not touch their grid, their electrical grid. I mean, it's just so ridiculous. But overall, this administration's foreign policy seems to be giving victories to our adversaries, whether it be Russia, whether it be China, as he, blows off Trump rules in place, like banning TikTok and WeChat, things like that. I'm not sure what the China policy is, but I know that he seems to be begging Iran to get back into an Iran deal. So there's that as well. What is going on? Meanwhile, you look at the domestic budget. He's got no increase for Homeland Security, a decline in spending for defense because it's up 1.6% relative to inflation. That's a decline in defense spending. And yet he's got an increase of 22% on the EPA, huge increases in spending toward education and the teachers' unions. I mean, these are his priorities, Congressman.
Well, it's underscored by a flawed philosophy. And that is, if we are just nice enough to the rest of the world, Obama said it in his second inaugural speech, if we extend the hand to our adversaries rather than the fist, they'll accept that handshake, right? And that is not how our adversaries operate. They are deterred by strength. They are emboldened by weakness. And then you throw progressive tendencies on top of that, which is to throw cash at the problem. We're seeing that with Iran. We're seeing that with the Palestinians, where they've unleashed hundreds of millions to Hamas and the PLO. And we're seeing that in the Northern Triangle, where they're going to throw $4 billion down there for corrupt governments and cartels to then enrich themselves before it ever makes it to the people they intend to help.
Well,
and now we're seeing that with Russia with the sanctions relief. So that's the problem.
Yeah. You make a great point. The $4 billion going to Central America. Obviously, that money is going to land in the hands of politicians and criminal cartels. The criminal cartels are running the border. They're deciding who gets into America. The criminal cartels are deciding who gets into America.
And aid groups are telling me they Oh, sorry. Go ahead. No, aid groups are telling me they take 20 to 30% off the top. So do the math on $4 billion.
Exactly. So here you have these criminal cartels making $400 million a month, I'm being told, as they deliver 5,000 people a day to the border of Texas. 5,000 people a day. It's incredible. But I want to get your take on policy because the House Science, Space and Technology Committee passing the National Science Foundation for the Future Act. You, alongside a bipartisan group of lawmakers, announced this legislation to try to make responsible investments in technology programs to compete with communist China. Walk us through how this makes us stronger to compete with communist China. We know that they're continuing to steal intellectual property. They're trying to be number one in all of the industries that the U.S. wants to own.
Well, that's right. So the National Science Foundation is responsible for about 30% of the research that our universities, research centers sponsor around the country. I am all for increasing that research in robotics, artificial intelligence, advanced materials, chips. However, what we were able to compromise and work out with the Democrats is a significant increase in the security of that research. The National Science Foundation is reporting 1,000% increase, Maria, in research theft and Chinese attacks and hacks, and also banning any of those researchers from participating in the 1,000 Talents program, the Chinese recruitment program, and making much more stringent requirements on their ability to participate in any other types of research outside the United States. That they think that is incredibly important. Schumer on the Senate side wants to pour hundreds of billions in. We can't end up then watching that walk right out the back door to Beijing and funding Beijing's R&D because it goes straight to the military. We have to secure it.
Well, I know that the CCP has been totally abusing our visa programs, things like the Talents program. They're abusing it, sending people in to spy and steal data. But I want to get your take on lawmakers and their commentary on breaking up big tech. I am very skeptical of these bills out of the House Judiciary Committee. They're set to vote on an antitrust package this Wednesday. 5 bills released in their anti-monopoly agenda centered around the online economy. I have a problem with this because it looks like it gives the Biden administration more power and control over these platforms, over these companies in a way that just beholdens these bureaucrats rather than actually does anything. Something tells me that the committee that Jerry Nadler runs is really not interested in stopping Facebook and Google and Twitter from censoring conservatives. I mean, this is the group who wanted to do away with Fox News, and you're telling me they're coming out with these bills because they really want these technology companies to stop censoring people? I'm not buying it, Congress.
Yeah, you know, some of the bills I could really get behind. Some I share your skepticism, but you know, one of them in particular that will put your data back into individuals' hands and make that data portable. We remember when we were, finally allowed to take our cell phone, right, from our number from company to company as we move, to be able to take your data and control that and get it out of the stranglehold of Facebook and others for each individual is something that I could get behind. But, you know, Maria, I think one way or another, big tech has got it coming between the lawsuits from the Trump administration, legislation that is moving, some good, not so good. But we're seeing it in Europe, we're seeing it in India, we're seeing it in Australia. This kind of hubris that they have right now is going to come to an end one way or another. And I think that is ultimately good for the American consumer and good for privacy and for individuals.
Well, we're going to talk with your colleague, Congressman Jim Jordan, later on in the show. He's obviously ranking member in Judiciary, because one of these bills is about creating, quote unquote, technical committees to oversee these covered platforms. I don't know if I really would like to see a government committee, technical committee, telling businesses how to operate their businesses, but we'll get into it. I so appreciate you weighing in as well. Congressman, thank you. Final word. Go ahead, sir.
Well, you're right. I mean, the Democrats' instinct is to put more into the bureaucracy, more power into Washington to tell us in business how to run our lives. And that is the wrong answer.
Michael Waltz, good to see you this morning. Have a great weekend. And thank you, as always, for your service to our great country. We'll see you soon, Congressman.